So, hello and welcome to the Pixel Player podcast featuring myself, George, or at Fevanova on Twitter.
Cento or Ratpinat on Twitter.
Sam or Skipper on Twitter.
And I'll put everyone's Twitters in the description below for those who want to find a little bit more out about us. But we are Pixel Players NFT. We're an NFT-based project sort of based around establishing a global brand which allows fans and players to connect over our mutual love for the game. We're looking to develop several outlets for which to engage with our fans, and this podcast is one of them. So we've got a few things to talk about today, haven't we, everyone?
We do. The football season started.
We're well underway. We are well underway. 6 games in.
Not just the leagues, but also the Champions League, the Europa League.
We are recording right now while Liverpool, Ajax, and Barcelona, Bayern Munich are playing. 1-1 is the live score at Anfield, if you are interested. Just approaching half-time. But yeah, we've got a few topics on today, featuring sort of Man United and Ten Hag and how sort of they've turned their fortunes around. Liverpool falling a little bit short with Jurgen Klopp. Haaland and the Norwegian meat shield that he is. Spurs and Antonio Conte, they're looking sort of doggedly determined and unbeaten, so far. And obviously Chelsea with Graham Potter, we've got a lot going on that side of things. Brighton obviously on the receiving end of the football food chain. Newcastle and West Ham sort of quietly lifting some weight in the shadows, throwing a few scary faces at the sort of traditional top 4, if you will. And then we'll sort of go around and have a little discussion about the Champions League, I think. Sort of go around and sort of ask people some memorable moments. So we'll start with United people who at the start of this season lost to Brighton and then lost 4-0 to Brentford. But since then, they've looked a little bit more convincing, wouldn't you say?
All but the last game, innit?
Liverpool was their last game, wasn't it? They beat Liverpool.
No, it wasn't Real Sociedad the last game.
Oh, in the European, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They seem to have turned the opinions of Ten Hag around, at least for the short term. I mean, the first 2 games, everyone thought it was going to be another Van Gaal, Mourinho, all of the above. You know, you can list every single manager under the sun. They've probably been Man United after Sir Alex, but they pulled together some results, to be fair, especially against Liverpool
and Arsenal.
Yeah.
Arsenal. That was a big game.
That was the recent one, actually, wasn't it? It was the Arsenal game that they recently put an end to their unbeaten start to the season. So Spurs and City, I guess, the only ones left unbeaten.
Well, you say unbeaten, not in the Champions League. Tottenham aren't anymore.
Yeah,
No.
Which was tonight. Want to say a little word on that, Sam, just before we move back to United?
Spurs looked diabolical. Sporting Lisbon looked fairly decent. They looked like they enjoyed to be playing in the Champions League, whereas Tottenham just looked too tired.
Yeah.
They weren't enjoying it. You know, it was a struggle. It was a struggle to get the ball forward and get shots on goal. You know, you got front three like Richarlison, Son, and Kane.
Yeah,
should be banging them in for fun, or at least hitting the target every 5 minutes.
Which is, you know, following the sort of passing of the Queen in the United Kingdom. All of the Premier League games cancelled the weekend just gone. So it's Tuesday now, and the weekend games on Saturday and Sunday all cancelled. So you'd think Spurs might have approached that game with a bit more energy. But I'm aware we have slightly diverted away from United and Ten Hag. So it's talking about Lisbon. I'm sure Bruno Fernandes is slightly disappointed he's not in their Champions League squad.
Cristiano Ronaldo too, probably.
And both playing in Europa League with Manchester United. And something interesting I heard just quickly about United earlier. They haven't won a game upon which Harry Maguire has started. Sento, what do you say?
Well, actually 2 points. One extra one now, because of what you just said. I'll start with that one, actually. A couple of days back, Cristiano Ronaldo actually asked to the Manchester administration or sports team, or I don't know, what do you call it, to actually remove Maguire from the field, just bench him. So he doesn't want Maguire to play anymore. At least that's what, that's actually appearing everywhere in Spain, at least.
That's kind of what's happened. You know, Maguire's been dropped from the United squad pretty much since that Brentford game where they lost 4-0. And you know, with the back sort of, you know, training partnership of Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane, they look a lot more sort of confident at the back, I think. And I actually really like the look of Lisandro Martinez. A lot of people were taking the mick out of his height. I think he was like 5 foot.
There was a lot of
of things being said, but I think he looks good personally. I think he looks a bit like, you know, the Romero sort, you know, the Diego Costa category. They love a little scrap. He looks snarly in a challenge. He's gritting his teeth a lot of the time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
maybe that attitude, but in a Lucas Moura body.
Yeah, exactly. Which is quite nice to see. I mean, Lucas Torreira's quite, you know, similar to that, but Lisandro Martinez, I think, is a good signing for Manchester United. And the Real Sociedad game that Sento, you just mentioned, that they did lose last week, they did make 8 changes to their starting lineup that beat Arsenal.
What's that? Rotation, you know, or?
Yeah, rotation, I think. And obviously, I think Ten Hag's going to try and involve a lot more of the fringe players to try and make them feel part of the squad at sort of his early stage in the season.
It makes sense.
Yeah, obviously, as well, you want to sort of get a bit of minutes into the legs of some players because it is going to be a long season. And with the World Cup slap bang in the middle, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of injuries.
That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough for everyone.
Yeah.
At least everyone playing European competitions.
Yeah. And we've got 2 games now possibly delayed.
Yeah, I mean, United game, on the topic of United, their game against Leeds has been postponed this weekend with the Queen's funeral on Monday. So they won't be playing until the first weekend of October, which features the North London derby as well as the Manchester derby. So that weekend is shaping up to be an absolute corker at the moment.
Is that a chance for Tottenham to go above Arsenal?
I should think so. I mean, unless something happens this weekend, because Spurs and Arsenal are both going ahead with their games this weekend, aren't they? So,
are they?
Yeah. Even though Arsenal are playing in London. But, you know, with United, I'm feeling like Ten Hag has got the hook into those players. He's said something, he's done something in training, you know, that's resonated, and he's got them all now, what looks like, singing off the same hymn sheet, which I think, you know, I'm thinking United are looking stronger at this point than Liverpool. Liverpool, to me, look shaky. They look shaky.
Oh, yes.
And just
about
before...
Ten Hag?
Yeah. Go on, Ten Hag.
No, but about Ten Hag, you know, like, I always had a lot of faith in him.
Yeah.
Remember, there was like that little like shambolic time where Barcelona was looking for a coach, United was looking for a coach, and wasn't there another team? Another of the big ones.
It might have been Tottenham. Well, was Tottenham in?
Yeah, it was.
Because it was all surrounding Mauricio Pochettino again, wasn't it? But PSG wouldn't let him go.
And the old Sakio around United Spurs, which Spurs came out on top of, by the way. But carry on, Sensei. Go on.
But yeah, I mean, I told you a lot of times back then when all of these big teams were looking for a new coach. Even before Ten Hag name actually popped up, I said, I really like Ten Hag. I think he will be a really good fit for any of the big teams. But obviously, it's not something that would be, I guess, like immediate performance for them. Some sort of like project for the future, like thinking more of the mid-long term, I'd say.
Definitely. Yeah, I think he's been a good appointment. Like you said, I think they're planning for the mid-long term.
He has changed something, definitely.
He's changed something. You know,
Ronaldo has just let go an offer to play in Arabia, I think, for 242 million for 2 seasons.
Does he need it though? Do you know what I mean?
Obviously not. But did he refuse that offer because of going to Arabia and he wants to play Champions League?
Yeah.
And he actually wants to he still wants to leave United. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, I've heard it mentioned that he's going to be quite happy to just sit on the bench at the moment because he wants to stay fit for what could be, what will be his last World Cup. How old is he? 37. So yeah,
it's
it's
just a spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you go to those sorts of places, you rarely come back.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah,
it's just like Dele Alli. He's gone to Besiktas.
Yeah, Besiktas. That's a weird move.
And I mean, it's probably a good league. He could come back, but
Well, talking about the Turkish league, just a little note. Have you guys checked the Galatasaray signings?
No.
Yeah, a few of them I'm aware of.
They're mad, mate. Like Juan Mata, Icardi, Lucas Torreira. There was another one. Yusuf Denner, which is a young player from Anderlecht. I think it was playing at.
They always have done that, haven't they? They signed Wesley Sneijder.
Yeah, Didier Drogba as well.
Didier
Drogba. Yeah. No, they're making a pretty good team.
Yeah, and it sounds I could definitely see them causing an upset in the Champions League, but they never like a consistent side, are they? They're always a sort of team that will sort of turn up on an occasion. The fans will be chucking their flares around, and then
it wouldn't be that Ajax from a couple seasons ago that reached the semi-final. it was not a big team, but
I mean, that was talking of Ten Hag. That Ajax team is basically why United bought him. United had planned to buy De Jong in the summer. That didn't quite come off. That was a saga and a half. But they did get their hands on Martinez, as we've mentioned, and Anthony for £100 million. Or was it 100 million euros? I'm unsure. But, Anthony scored against...
What do you think about that Anthony signing, though?
I mean...
I think it's a risky move just because of the price. Just because of the
price tag.
He looked like he was enjoying it, though. He was enjoying his football.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's got looks like the right character, He's got the right sort of character to take this sort of...
Like Darwin Núñez to Liverpool. Let's actually... I think that's actually a more or less comparable situations, at least because of the prices, right?
Okay. The complete difference, though. The complete difference is the boots that they're trying to fill.
Yeah.
Núñez is trying to fill Mane's boots very, very hard. Whereas at Man United, it's an empty playing field. But Liverpool are in a tough time at the moment.
They are.
This is actually quite a good segue discussing Núñez and Anthony, because Liverpool are our next subject. And sort of chatting about, I think Anthony looks more of a promise in terms of the potential than Núñez to me. Núñez looked good against Everton. But is that because I saw him do an acrobatic volley that Pickford just got fingertips to that gave me major throwbacks to Fernando Torres? I don't know. Part of me makes me think Darwin Núñez, as I've heard him mentioned, is just the Uruguayan Andy Carroll. So, it's yet to be seen. But there were some silly comparisons at the start of the season saying, who's going to score more, Haaland or Núñez? And already Haaland has made him look fool.
That wasn't even comparable. Who was even saying that?
Mainly Liverpool fans, I think.
Also, what the hell is going on? Didn't City pay 52 million? 52 million for Haaland?
Yeah, I think they got him on a pretty good deal, didn't they?
What do you mean pretty good deal? They just paid 100 million for Anthony, and wasn't 120 for Darwin Núñez? Or was it 102?
I think it was 100 million euros for Núñez.
I think it's probably something to do with the wages that convinced him.
Yeah.
He's getting paid quite decent sums, and I can imagine with quite hefty goal bonuses as well. He's probably already hit.
The goal. Imagine what his goal bonus is. He's already netted 12, isn't he, old Haaland? So, just sort of moving on to Liverpool then. They don't look half the team we saw last year, do they?
The year before. Last year was already quite far from the year before that.
But don't forget last year they played every game possible. They got to the Champions League final, they lost. FA Cup final, which they won. They won the FA Cup final. Capital One Cup, or the Carabao Cup, we want to call it these days. They won that on penalties against Chelsea. And they pushed Man City right to the wire in the Premier League. So a pretty demoralising season as well.
They were 2 games away from winning 4 trophies.
Yeah.
4 of the biggest trophies.
I think it's exhaustion.
It could be exhaustion. Maybe.
But Nunes should still be performing. He shouldn't be exhausted.
Well, he's missed 3 games, isn't he? Because he decided to put his forehead onto the chin of Rakim Anderson. Nutcase. But talking of that as well, Diego Costa signing for Wolves. How exciting is that to have him back in our league?
Love it.
Him against Romero. I mean, Wolves have already played Spurs at the start of the season, but that's going to be a battle to keep your eyes on if they do come up against each other.
I think he has football in his boots. I think he will do well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely. I was reading just before we started this first podcast that he played really well with Atletico Madrid, yeah?
Yeah.
But he said that he was never happy over there, which I wonder why, though, because they talk your language, the culture is more similar. So is it more about the club and the people?
Diego Costa?
Yeah. Diego Costa. Yeah.
I think he likes the rush. He likes the
rush, isn't he?
Yeah. He's a big game. He loves a big game.
Yeah. He likes the cameras on him as well. So that he loves the Premier League in terms of coverage. Because I think he was playing in like China or something before. And obviously, not going to get much sort of exposure over there. We're not going to make any headlines over there.
You mean before going to Wolves?
Yeah, because he left Atletico, and I think he went.
He was playing at Atletico Mineiro. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, back in Brazil. That's it. Yeah. I have a feeling he was. There was a moment he was going to go to China. I think it might have been off from Chelsea, but anyway. Well, back onto Liverpool. Yeah.
Do you reckon it's a burnout, or maybe that it's a time to move on from Klopp, which I think that would be it.
Injury is a massive part.
Also, the signings I was thinking about, like the team is pretty much the same one, right?
Yeah, the midfield is a huge issue.
They've actually sold more players than what they've actually sold.
I mean, they sold Gini Wijnaldum to PSG, or they didn't sell him. I think they actually let him go on a free transfer. But
and Mane, obviously, is like
Mane. The midfield has still got James Milner and Jordan Henderson in. I think good players for the odd occasion, but they're not going to take you to the Premier League when you're competing against Man City, are they? I think they've had their sort of
the signings doesn't convince me, to be honest.
And it's the midfield is the main
Artur Melo, they got Artur Melo on a loan.
Yeah.
And Valencia was trying to get Artur Melo. Valencia's level right now is, ridiculous. Ridiculously low. No. So, I mean, Liverpool, which is supposed to be one of the big ones. Okay, Valencia was pretty important, pretty big in the past as my team. So you guys know, the listeners. It's the team I follow since I was born, basically. But right now we're in shambles, and we were trying to tie in Artur Melo, and we actually tied him in. He wanted to come and all that, and the only reason he didn't come, it was firstly because we didn't have that extra community spot with Spain, like is capped at 3 extra continental players, let's say, from outside of
Europe.
Which
is actually something I hadn't really paid attention to. So explain that to Sam quickly.
Yeah. Well, basically, the Spanish leagues are capped at 3 extra community players. So you can have as many Europeans as you want, Russia included, and also as many Africans as you want, because there's like some sort of deal or between like the leagues or whatever. But you cannot have more than 3 Argentinians, for example, or 1 Argentinian, 1 Brazilian, and 1 Mexican.
Oh well.
Yeah.
So you've actually got caps.
Yeah, we have that capped.
Whereas Premier League is more.
You can get whatever you want, right?
Yeah, they're trying to push homegrown talent.
Yeah, that actually it does make sense. I do like that. Maybe 3 is a bit too low. Maybe
I think 5,
4 or 5.
Yeah.
And that was one of the main reasons we couldn't get him, because we already had 3 and we had to sell one of them, and it took ages to sell one of them. So basically.
But he's not He's not going to take Liverpool to the heights they're talking or they expect to be. You know, Champions League finals, FA Cup finals.
That's why I'm saying. Arthur Melo, I think, is not in the level that that Liverpool needs right now.
So the midfield consists of Fabinho, Henderson, Milner, and obviously, importantly, Thiago, who's injured.
Yeah.
So,
but in the same breath, is it too early to start suggesting that they may need a new manager?
Do you know what?
We all know how fast the Premier League moves.
I mean, a week ago tonight, we just lost 1-0 to Dinamo Zagreb.
Yeah.
I was pretty down, but didn't expect a week now. You know, Graham Potter's in charge, but I think Jurgen Klopp's time is numbered.
You think so?
Yes, I think end of this season. I do think he has the capability to rebuild a new team.
You know, I think he. The thing is that I think we're not being fair because he doesn't have the team he had back then when he won the Champions. He nearly won the league and everything. Like if you think about it, they've been selling most of the main players, like at least like one or two every transfer market, summer transfer market, and the replacements have not been of the same level or even near. You know,
no.
I think that has been a big problem.
Yeah, but Luis Diaz has been a good signing, I'd say.
Oh yeah, Luis Diaz. Yes.
He's been good, but he's not been amazing.
Yeah,
I think Liverpool, the Premier League at the moment has this clinical striker approach. You know, you've got Haaland, you've got Harry Kane. Chelsea have gone and got Aubameyang. Liverpool don't have this. Liverpool are just with Nunes at the moment.
I think that was supposed to be it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just listening to the silence of when you dropped Aubameyang after Kane and Haaland, but
no, but what I mean is
I mean,
trying to give you the respect.
Yeah. But no, I mean, Haaland and Kane race for the golden boot. I mean, that's exciting in itself, isn't it? But you know, Liverpool, I think Klopp, they could turn to Klopp and say, look, we're going to give you the funds you need to rebuild this team. It's going to be a tough another couple of years, but he could do it. Or they could say, you know, we've had enough of Klopp. But who do they get? This is the problem that I had with Chelsea last week. When we sacked Tuchel, within the first hour, you know, I saw it, the news drop within the first few minutes. I thought, I don't want Pochettino. Who else is out there? And I didn't think, you know, Graham Potter, is he going to want to leave Brighton? Probably not. There's no one out there that I thought could have done it. So I think Liverpool,
one of the not very known
problem.
Coaches, like, gets to the spotlight, like Potter.
But it's a risk, isn't it? That's a risk in itself.
It is a risk.
What about this one then? Xavi?
I mean, what do you want then? Like,
Xavi will be at Barcelona for years. Yeah, that was a risk.
That was a risk.
But it's paying off, I guess, okay. I mean,
it's paying off great.
Compared to where Koeman had them playing. Koeman's Barcelona.
That should have never happened. That should have never happened. Like, I'm sorry, but when that happened, I have a friend who follows Barcelona. I gave him my condolences. I was...
And you hate Barcelona.
I hate Barcelona too, yeah. And he was so happy, and it was like, yeah, don't worry, let's give him some time. He will do well for sure. And all that, yeah. I was telling him since minute one, that's not going to happen. What did happen? Obviously, disaster.
Yeah.
Disaster. But yeah, Xavi's doing pretty well.
Yeah. I think they'll stick with Klopp, personally, for the next 18 months.
I think what's going to happen, who's going to replace Klopp? So what I think is going to happen right now, unless there's another Graham Potter out there that we don't know about, or maybe they try to go for Pochettino. I don't know.
Nuno Santo's still free, if anyone's wondering.
No thanks.
No shock that he's still struggling to find work, is there?
So I think he will stay in Liverpool for the next season or two, probably.
Yeah. They
will give him a second chance. If it works, he will probably stay. And if it doesn't work, I really think he might be actually Carlos Ancelotti's replacement at Real Madrid.
Rumours of Thomas Tuchel is his successor as well. But I think Liverpool. You look at Klopp. When Klopp came into Liverpool, the squad was a mess. They had Benteke. They had the likes of Ali Sissoko playing at fullback, Dejan Lovren, who likes to think he's a world-class player, but let's face it, not really. Lucas Leiva. I mean, the squad was laden with absolute mediocrity. And he built them into, one of the best teams I've seen probably in sort of my time following the Premier League. So I think, they can have the faith that, he could do it again. He could rebuild it, but it's going to take a lot of money.
Shall I read out Liverpool's missing players at the moment?
Yeah,
Liverpool's
please do.
Injuries: Henderson, Jones, Keita, Gallagher, Konate, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Ramsey, Robertson.
There's a few key players in there.
That's a big list too.
And Robertson was recent. Robertson's an addition to that list, so not good. But that's another one that we're excited to see. Obviously, again, Liverpool's game cancelled this weekend against Chelsea, so they ain't going to be in action until the first weekend of October in the league anyway. I think that's sort of safe to move on to Man City and Erling Haaland, and obviously not too much to say because they're sort of panning out as expected, really, is it?
Apart from amazing.
Football does the talking.
Football does the talking, exactly.
Football does the talking. I mean, Haaland in his last, how many games has he played for Man City now?
Well, in his last 6 Premier League games, he's got 10 goals, I believe.
It's
Plus
just
2 in the Champions
phenomenal, isn't it?
Sounds good.
Yeah. And him and De Bruyne haven't even probably gone out for dinner together yet. Wait until they're friends. It's match made in heaven, isn't it?
Wait until they're putting their keys in a bowl.
Exactly.
They're waiting to win the Champions first, mate.
Yeah.
Because they will.
Well, that's why apparently Erling Haaland wakes up to the Champions League music, isn't he? Apparently the Champions League theme song is his alarm clock.
Is it?
Yeah. He wakes up to the theme song.
He's got 8 goals in the last 4 Premier League games. 8 in 4.
What was it? 2 hat-tricks, wasn't it? Back to back.
2 hat-tricks. He didn't score any against Villa, and then 2 goals against Sevilla. Sorry, that's not Premier League.
Yeah. But City, although City looked good, we did see them concede 3 to Newcastle. And, they also could have lost against Villa if it wasn't for VAR arguably getting a decision wrong with Coutinho's wonder strike. But City do look like, I was very excited to watch Spurs Man City last Saturday evening, but it got cancelled. I thought that would have been a really good game. Conte's got quite a good record against Man City, I think. So, it was poised to be quite the fixture. But, I do think this season in the Premier League is like no other, I think. I can't call it. I can't call which way the momentum's going to lie because Man City normally get into a stride over Christmas. Man City get to January and then they're in that 15-game sort of unbeaten streak. But the World Cup's going to change that. So
the issue with Man City is all of their players are going off to the World Cup.
Yeah, a lot of them are starters, so they're going to have injuries, except Erling Haaland. Norway aren't there.
Yeah.
I think the top 7, I'd say it's very open like this year.
Oh, it's a conundrum. You couldn't call it.
Anything can happen.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Who's going to win it? I think Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm sorry, George. Not Chelsea. I don't think they're going to win it. No. But Manchester City, obviously. Yeah. I would think they are still the favorite ones. Even more now with Haaland. Sorry, mate. But I think your objective is getting to Champions League. Now.
It is definitely top 4. And even if we don't, I think Graham is in safe hands for this time, and for this season at least. But that segues the City conversation nicely to what I think could be their closest rivals this season: Spurs and Antonio Conte, unbeaten so far.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this podcast is coming off the back of a 2-0 defeat
to Lisbon. Unbeaten in the league, should I say? Yeah, unbeaten in the league.
And I mean, it was 2 late goals: 90th minute, 93rd minute. So the second goal, unfortunate, but they looked a different team. We've been playing quite well in the Premier League, but we needed the challenge of City. We needed to play Man City, and we needed to see how well we'd do. Unfortunately, that's not happened, so we'll come back to a North London derby. I mean,
well, actually, no, you're playing
Well-
on the weekend, aren't you? I don't think the Spurs game's been.
has it not been delayed?
I don't think so. No, I think you are
that's
playing
in
Leicester,
London
isn't it?
too.
It's Leicester on Saturday.
Leicester at home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
London.
talking about Leicester, what the hell is going on with Leicester?
Oh,
Their
well,
story this season has been
hopefully that's an easy
shambolic.
win.
That should be an
Obviously,
easy win.
20
Brendan
20
Rodgers has lost it.
I mean, yeah.
He's lost it.
But
This will be Tottenham's ease back into the Premier League. We get the win against Leicester, send them down, send Brendan Rodgers out,
Send him packing for a job.
send him back in, ready for Arsenal.
Yeah, they could do it. If Spurs pack 3 past
yeah.
Leicester, it's international break coming up. Leicester could pull the trigger. You know, they've been so bad that I think they could be the time to get Brendan out those doors. But no, I think Spurs for me. Spurs have been playing well in terms of resilience. But I think they're well off their best. I think they're in about third gear, maybe even third gear.
The one player Tottenham are missing is that attacking midfielder. We need the likes of Christian Eriksen at his peak.
Yeah.
We need
Dele Alli, mate.
we need Dele Alli at his peak. Yeah. We need a playmaker. We need someone to ping the balls left and right, to be able to play those through balls because the front three is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Kulusevski, Son, Kane, and I mean you can even make it a front four if you get a bit bored.
Yeah, Richarlison.
Like Richarlison. Richarlison's loving it. He is loving it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Well-
I guess it's only Everton fans and Tottenham fans that love him, but
Is Brian Hill
can't
playing?
cradle him.
No, Brian Hill doesn't play for Spurs at all, does he?
No, I saw him warming up the other day.
And that's it.
Got a few clubs.
It's like, all right. I saw him warming up today, and that's it.
No, this is when I was at the Tottenham Southampton game. He got a few claps.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But no, I think Spurs. It all lies on that North London derby now, doesn't it? If Spurs come out of that with 3 points and a good performance, they're on a high, aren't they? And then who knows where they go from there? But vice versa, if they lose that, confidence is shattered, isn't it? So
Yeah, exactly. And I mean,
it's going to be a good one, isn't it? It's going to
It
be
will
good.
be a good one. It will be a good one, but it also means that if Tottenham win, then against Arsenal, Tottenham win against Arsenal, then they'll likely leapfrog them.
Yeah.
If they don't, Arsenal get a bit more. Well, they enjoy it a bit more. They start getting a bit more excited
Yeah.
because they create a bigger gap, and then it's only them against Man City. But it is this top four: Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City. Not in order.
I mean, it's brave to even mention what 4 teams might make it, isn't it? I think. And, United and Ten Hag, no one can really write them off yet. They're a bit of an unknown sort of entity, aren't they?
We're so early into it. Everyone's unknown.
And so the way this has all fallen with the unfortunate passing of the Queen, we've pretty much. I mean, Graham Potter, especially, which is our next topic, moving on to Chelsea. He's basically been given a little pre-season. So
Definitely a little preseason to
Wait, talk
know the
about
players, make the tactics.
Talking about pre-season, whilst the season's underway briefly, what was that Man City Barcelona game in the all about?
I think it was charity, wasn't it? I think it was a charity game.
Barcelona
it was pretty crazy.
Man City just popped off to Barcelona.
Yeah, midweek
for a 3-3 draw midweek.
Yeah, good game. It's a good game as well.
Just a club friendly. Don't really understand.
Don't understand.
But yeah,
Well, that's what it matters, man.
if
They
Gary
want
Potter,
to help the people.
Gary Potter. Do you know what? I've done that. That Gary Potter is our old head teacher from our school. Gary Potter. I've called Graham Potter Gary Potter on numerous occasions.
Apologies, G Potter. If Graham Potter was popping off midweek to Barcelona, then he would have a pre-season, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm actually quite pleased that the games have been postponed the way they have for Chelsea, because we play tomorrow night against Salzburg, so it's been over a week since we've played. Graham Potter's had about at least 3 or 4 days. I'd say at least 3 of full days with the squad. Because before that, he came in on the sort of Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, and we were due to play on the Saturday afternoon as the first kickoff. He would have barely got time to sort of shake everyone's hand before picking a starting 11. So I think it's kind of a blessing in disguise. And the game against Liverpool being cancelled, I'm also quite happy about. As long as there's football back, Premier League-wise, I'm happy this weekend. Don't mind the Liverpool game's been cancelled because, again, it means, Graham Potter gets some more time with the squad. The first game isn't against a sort of top 6 rival. I think his first league game is actually going to be against... just want to get it up. Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace, tough game away from home, but I think it would feel a lot more confident going into that than Liverpool. But maybe him being ex-Brighton and Brighton having a bit of a rivalry, they're going to give him some stick. But I saw a lot of Palace fans actually quite happy that he left Brighton because they were so sort of, jealous might be the word of what was going on down at the Amex, that they're happy that Graham Potter's moved on.
Well, this is what I was going to say. What do you think is happening with Brighton? They've had a phenomenal start. Currently in 4.
3 points ahead of Chelsea. Yeah.
Literally.
Unbelievable. I think Graham Potter, to have lost their best players in the summer again, for the second season running, really, and Cucurella went and Basuma to Tottenham. And, he's still, Basuma went, no problem. He brings in, some 18, 19-year-old Moises Caicedo, whatever his name is. And he plays, now he's getting looked at from the big boys. Now they're thinking about forking out 50 million for him.
They've conceded the least amount of goals in the Premier League, joint with Tottenham, which is 5. 5 in 6.
It's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, this is Brighton we're talking about.
And that's why I've seen a lot of people again quite scared. Some people look at Graham Potter going to Chelsea and think, he'll be gone in 6 months. He'll be gone. He's going to lose it. The name's unfashionable. Oh. And then other people, some fans are really wary that Graham Potter with this group of players. The man's got a human science degree. So it's exciting stuff. I'm excited to see. He's a nice bloke. He's come in. You can't blame him for being sort of, he's been offered an opportunity to step up in his career. He's had quite a meteoric rise as it is to where he is now. I hope, I wish all the best for him, to be honest. I hope to see him succeed.
Obviously you do.
Yeah. I think every Chelsea fan does.
But I was telling you this the other day. I think that it was the correct decision, but not at the correct time. I don't think it was the correct time to fire Tuchel.
Yeah.
The team is saying that the last game against Dinamo has nothing to do with him being sacked, that it was a decision thinking on the long term of the club, that they've been thinking about this for a while already and all that. And, okay, it does make sense. But at the same time, I don't know, you're selling... Didn't they sell Gilmore to Brighton?
Yeah, that's probably the most infuriating part of this summer for me.
Yeah, so he asked for it. I'm pretty sure he asked for it. I read. So he's going to Brighton for what? Now Potter's going to Chelsea, and Chelsea will revive him back if he does well, I guess. Not this season.
Probably next season.
I doubt that will be this season. But obviously for what? 40, 50, 40, 60 million?
Yeah, 9 million we sold him for. Unless there's a buyout clause, which I'm unaware of. But
I do think they were thinking of doing a change, but I don't think they were thinking of doing it this way and at this time.
Yeah, I agree. For me, Tuchel, like you said, I think he should have been given more time. But at the same time, it was quite evident that things were going wrong. Tuchel looked frustrated.
But the entire team has also been done for him, right?
the
market has been gone on. If he has for the player, if he has asked for the players, he got the players. That's why it doesn't really make sense what they were saying of. We were thinking of doing this either way.
But I'd argue
I don't
that
know.
the players we signed, Wesley Fofana, Koulibaly, Raheem Sterling, I'd argue that those sort of players are not system players, and that they could be sort of signed by any sort of team. But the Aubameyang is the one signing that makes you think, well, that's definitely probably a Tuchel signing. And he played
probably.
one game under Tuchel, and Tuchel's gone.
I would have never done that signing.
The contrast is, I mean, we're talking about Chelsea and Liverpool, like one of them's doing a lot worse than the other. Chelsea are 1 point above Liverpool at the moment, and if we talk about how poorly Liverpool had started the season, and where the Klopp maybe needs to go, Liverpool are doing worse than Chelsea, and Tuchel's gone. What's the difference?
Yeah, I think
Because of how well he did last season.
I think it's just because
behind
the
the
change
scenes.
of owner.
Yes.
They want a fresh start. They got rid of everyone from the club, right? Like all the
literally
administration people and all that.
Marina
Has he gone?
Bruce Buck. They literally Todd Burley has gutted the whole team, the whole club. Sorry, sort of from Tuchel up, and that's why Tuchel was so frustrated, because in the summer, Todd Burley was expecting him to do sort of more work than he was normally sort of used to. He ended up doing sort of bits and bobs that Petr Cech might have carried up, or sort of things like that. So Tuchel was quite frustrated with the ownership. But sort of since then, I haven't actually watched it yet, but today was an interview released in sort of featuring Todd Burley, the new owner for Chelsea. And to be honest, it's raised questions, should we say, because I found him a bit of a character when he came in. I thought he was very personable. He looked friendly. But in this interview, Todd Burley is now being labelled Todd Lasso. He has mentioned the Chelsea Academy and dropped names like Kevin De Bruyne in there with I think he missed out on Eden Hazard, but it was Kevin De Bruyne, Mo Salah was the other one. Now these are players that we signed them when they were young, but by no means were they in part of our academy. De Bruyne came in and was straight part of our first team. Same with Mo Salah. I think we might have loaned him out to, Fiorentina or something, but they are not from our academy. So Todd Burley,
most of the teams use that. That's like, a lot of teams do that though. Like, this was our academy player. Like, no,
you could say that we helped
20 years old and straight to the main team.
Yeah, but to come out and say Todd Burley to have the chest and to say that Kevin De Bruyne is one of our academy products, and it's left a lot of people questioning his football knowledge. And as he just spent 4 billion after watching maybe a couple of games.
Yeah, or do you reckon it's more a business decision?
That's what I was about to say, because discussing the fact that Todd Burley's gutted the Chelsea sort of staff from Tuchel above, Petr Cech's gone, Marina Granovskaya, Bruce Buck. He's now bringing in people. So he not only brought in Graham Potter, he brought in, I think his name was Kyle. The surname's escaping, but Kyle someone. I think he's the sort of recruiting sort of head of recruitment or something for Graham Potter, who obviously, as we've seen and mentioned, Brighton are amazing at recruiting young talent that no one's heard of. So it looks like Todd Burley is pulling in the right people above the manager to sort of get this football club in an order that he sees sort of fit to build something special. And I think he's also looking at Luis Campos for a technical director role.
I mean, I read that just before.
Yeah. So that's
all
promising.
Of this takes time.
Yeah, definitely.
This never changes over one game and then into a winning run.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it can. It's unlikely.
Yeah.
I still think it's all right to do this, but I still think it was not the correct time to do it.
No, I'm very sad.
They should have done this before the summer market was over.
Yeah.
Either that or wait until the winter market.
The World Cup.
Or just before the winter market.
Yeah. I feel bad for Thomas Tuchel. I do think he won't be out of work for long. I think he's the best manager available right now.
Right now, definitely.
Yeah.
Him and Pochettino, I'd say.
I'd take it. He's won a Champions League.
Joachim Low, I think, is also out there.
Yeah, it's another good one. Yeah, and actually talking of Germans and the World Cup winning manager Joachim Löw, not only have we made a little pixel artwork of him, so check him out on our Twitter page, Pixel Players NFT. Germany have just announced that they have a World Cup Amazon documentary. So they're being filmed behind the scenes during the World Cup. So that could be interesting.
Where's Jurgi Lowe's scratch and sniff when you want it?
But yeah, sort of another good segue after chatting about Graham Potter. Sort of mentioning Brighton. Brighton are looking at Neil Knutson to replace Graham Potter. A bit of a funky name, Neil Knutson.
Never, apart from what we're all thinking about. I don't know him. I never heard about him.
Well, he's the manager of Bodo Glimt, a Norwegian team, and their sort of claim to fame over the past 12 months was the fact that Neil Knutson got them into the Europa League, and they humiliated Jose Mourinho's Roma side 6-1. So quite an impressive scoreline, really, for a minnow of a football team in comparison to the Roma or any other teams featuring in the Europa League. But I think Brighton can be quietly confident that they've got a good squad of players. The sort of structure of the club above them is so good that I think they shouldn't worry too much about getting in the right man. I think they'll be safe. I think they'll be safe this season.
It's tough though. I mean, it's tough for a Brighton squad to keep performing because towards the end of the season they'll feel fatigued.
Also, the motivation must have been so high until
with
Graham Potter left. They were playing so well. They were doing really well.
It felt like they were all together in a sense, didn't it? It was a lot of players.
Single aspect, they were.
A lot of players who were fairly sort of unknown in their sort of very young team, hadn't achieved much. And so was Graham Potter, a young manager with young ideas. Felt like, all together, sort of trying to sort of progress their way through the league and make a sort of a claim.
One of them teams which is actually, this is what I like the most, is they don't have big names. Probably you don't know most of them or never heard about them ever.
Adam Webster.
But they just build this team, this group, perfect cohesion, between them. They just play perfectly well together, and that's what makes the difference. And that's what they achieved. And also the coach is a big part of that.
I think Graham Potter's
the main pillar.
From listening to his first sort of interviews with Chelsea, it sounds like his main focus is sort of the person, rather than the player. He's very, very into sort of the man management, But he's got really good sort of footballing ideas to go alongside it. So it could be a perfect combination. I saw a photo.
People together, right?
Yeah, a photo the other day I saw on Twitter.
That's why I think it's a big blow for Brighton. I think it's a very big blow.
He got their record league finish last season, so they're absolutely gutted. But the thing I saw on Twitter the other day was a picture of David Moyes and Sir Alex Ferguson, and Graham Potter's going to go one or two ways. Project David Moyes, Project Alex Ferguson. No one can call it.
It would be a first if a Chelsea manager lasts that long.
And I think they've slapped a 5-year contract on Graham Potter. I think Chelsea are looking at a bit of a culture shift. I mean, he's on a good old wage. I think
Tuchel didn't last long though. How long was his contract?
No, but he was employed by Roma, and I think, like you said, Sento earlier, the new owners wanted their guy. They wanted their own man in, and I genuinely think Graham Potter will be at Chelsea, and I think at least 18 months for sure. I'm even tempted to say
that's not giving him
I think he'll be here. The end of this season, the end of next season. I think that summer he could still be building, and then we'll be making our sort of stake towards making a sort of a title charge. But I think give him the time. But it's going to be, this culture change at Chelsea is massive. It's so hard to wrap your head around them potentially not sacking him. You only got to look up the road to Arsenal at Arteta, and then you can see, when you stick with your manager through tough times, like Arsenal did. Arsenal look really strong now. I think the atmosphere around that club looks extremely positive compared to, like I said, 18 months ago. Very toxic. They wanted Arteta out, didn't they?
That is after a run of some very easy games.
Yeah.
No challenges.
And also, Chelsea just came out from a little time of not having their managers a lot of time in the club. Tuchel was 587 days with Chelsea.
Yeah.
Only 18 more days than Lampard. So both of them have lasted, not long. Just 80 more
Mental.
days than Lampard.
That is mental.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly think Graham Potter's going to be here for a while, but obviously it could be proven wrong. We're going to have to wait and see. Football is obviously the world's greatest soap opera, so anything can happen.
Graham Potter, he would be a great addition to the England squad after Southgate.
Yeah, I wanted Lampard.
I mean,
personally,
or even now.
Yeah. I wanted him now, to be fair, but
Southgate's got one more chance, isn't he?
Southgate's got the World Cup.
Yeah. One last chance for Southgate. But yeah, sort of maybe just to tie up this episode, as it is the second game week of the Champions League, I thought we'd go round and sort of maybe mention one Champions League night that sort of sticks in the memory. Sento.
From this year?
Any year. Any game you might have watched, maybe you were there, might have been your team, might not have been your team. What Champions League memory sticks out for you?
Well, I mean, I'm going to choose one that where I was in, right? I mean, not in the stadium, but at least watching the game. It really had an impact on me, and I loved it, which it was the Barcelona turnover on PSG. What was that? 6 years ago, I think?
2017, I think. Wasn't it? Yeah, I think that was 2017.
2017. Yeah.
That's mental.
What a game that was.
Oh my God. I remember thinking like this is it. This is the end of the game. They were 4-1 PSG winning, plus they were already had a couple goals on the other leg. Like they were out for quite a bit of goals. And on the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes of the game, they turned that over and they won it. That was quite a memorable one. And it's actually even more memorable because it's Barcelona, who I hate. So I hated that moment, and at the same time I loved it. In terms of football, I loved it because it was great. Like no one expected that. And I actually remember saying at the beginning of the game, saying, if a team can do this, it's Barcelona. At least at that moment in time, I thought that, and I actually said it. I was watching it with you, George, that game.
Yeah.
And I said that at the beginning of the game. It's like, if any team can make this, it's Barcelona.
Yeah.
And they did it.
I remember we turned the game off, didn't we? I think it got to a point where we turned the game off because it looked done, didn't it?
We turned it off for 2 minutes, and we started getting all the notifications for the goals. It's like, shit.
Yeah. And then we just caught the winner, didn't we, at the end? So was it Roberto? Sergio Roberto? Can't remember. I think it might have been Sergio Roberto. So,
what a game.
What's your sort of stick out moment?
Oh, not a moment's hesitation. November 2010.
Oh.
Tottenham Inter Milan, White Hart Lane. School finished. Had to get on the train. 3-4 p.m. straight up to London. First Champions League game I've ever been to. Atmosphere was incredible. The game was incredible. This was the second leg of Tottenham being 4-0 down, Gomez being sent off, and Gareth Bale's hat-trick comes back to 4-3. So didn't know what to expect.
So did Spurs knock out Inter Milan then?
Yeah, Spurs knocked out.
So you were 3-0. No, because the away leg was where Bale scored the hat-trick, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
So what was the score in the San Siro? Was it
4-3
to Spurs or to Inter?
No, to Inter Milan.
Okay, and then the game at White Hart Lane finished.
I can't remember, to be honest.
I mean, you probably ended up with head injuries and all sorts.
I think it was. It may have been 1-0. I think.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere was mental. I think I remember hugging some guy next to me and us falling down a couple of flights of stairs. Something like that.
And obviously Bale giving Maicon the absolute runaround.
Taxi for Maicon was being sung around the stadium.
And Maicon at that point was like the sort of one of the best right backs in the world, wasn't
he? He was incredible, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just Champions League nights are like no other.
Yeah.
You know, you can't explain them unless you've been to them.
Yeah.
Everyone is just in a different caliber. I still got the match day program. Can't remember the score though.
Yeah. I'm gonna go for. I mean, for a Chelsea fan, I could easily go for one of our. I won't go. But could have gone for any.
I didn't go for the Valencia finals. I didn't go for the Valencia.
I already know what you're going to go for.
Finals.
No, I don't know. I could do. It's tough, isn't it? I'm trying to go for one that isn't so obvious. And there are some ones when I was slightly younger that I'd very much like to mention. I'm still sort of juggling it. You know what I am.
It was 3-1 Tottenham, by the way.
Cracking result. But I'm going to go with, like I said, I could have gone with many a night being a Chelsea fan, won it a couple of times, semi-finals, how do you want it, done the lot. I'm going to go for a quarter-final against Arsenal in 2004. Now, Arsenal were in the midst of their invincible season. They were probably the best. I think they were on paper the best team in Europe at that point. They thought they were the best team in Europe anyway. Unbeaten in the league. Thierry Henry, Robert Pires, all of those players. Anyway, they got Chelsea in the knockout round, quarter-final. They beat us 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. Actually, I think it was 1-1 at Stamford Bridge. Just recalling back a few years, 2004, but 1-1 at Stamford Bridge.
We're going back some years now.
Arsenal went 1-0 up at Highbury. Is at Highbury. So Arsenal, obviously, full of it, team purring, Thierry Henry and all that. 1-0 up against Chelsea. So on aggregate, going through to the semi-final. And then in the second half, Lampard gets the equaliser at Highbury. And then with 2 minutes to go, Wayne Bridge plays a 1-2 with Ardiger Johnson and slots it in the bottom right-hand corner, sending the away end crazy. Arsenal out of the Champions League, knocked out by the local rivals. I think one of the best moments. That
Jumping
goal,
up and down with John Terry, wasn't he?
He was, at that point, he was. And
Love it.
Cracking memories. We could make a whole podcast episode on the Champions League.
Champions League, because it just comes down to pinnacle moments. It's just incredible.
Yeah, even the other night, you were laugh at it. Me and Centre are sat there watching Spurs, Man City, and Spurs Ajax on.
Yes,
because they were such good games. We were just sat there watching them. You know what I mean?
They were great
5-minute highlight reels.
Great games.
Yeah. I've got a newspaper. Still got the newspaper of the Tottenham Man City.
That Spurs Man City was insane. Until last moment, they thought they won it, and no, it wasn't.
Oh, lovely. If we had a camera showing, Sam is currently showing a lovely artwork, quite similar to one of our Pixel artworks, actually.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say it does look like one of our Pixel artworks. Yeah. From here, at least.
It's great.
Incredible photo. Artwork.
But yeah, I think that we've been going for probably about 50 minutes or so now, so we could go on, but I think we probably have to call the episode there. We're going to sort of learn as we go forward making these podcasts. We're going to keep chatting about football. With that one, I guess we're just sort of trying to catch up with what's going on. The next one coming soon, but we've got a first-year anniversary coming up, and for Pixel players, that's quite special. We've started making the artwork for our NFT collection this time last year, which was released on OpenSea. So if you go onto OpenSea and search Pixel Players NFT, you should find our little green players. We've got a new website coming up as well in the autumn. And obviously, with this podcast, we're probably going to release this on the date of our first-year anniversary. So we're going to have a competition going where you can win a Pixel player. I think we may even throw 2 in there to be won. So, if you've listened to this far through the episode, go on our Twitter at Pixel Players NFT. We've also got a fantasy football league you can join, so get in touch with that. I'll drop all the descriptions and all the links to all that stuff that we've mentioned below the video. Hope you've enjoyed it. That's all from me and Senso. Sam, anything to say?
No, thank you.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming here and having a listen to the Triple P.
We're trying to build a community, and we love new people joining.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Also, we're sort of thinking about, if you do own a Pixel player in the future, we're going to make it so you can apply to come on the show and potentially chat with us about football. So bear that one in mind. We'll catch you on the flippity flip.